Identification of the current system. The current system under investigation in this human factor study is implemented within the Academic South 203 lecture hall. It is comprised of the chairs acting as the machine, with the human factor being the students. The dimensions include a fixed height of 45.7 centimeters for each chair, a width of 48.3 centimeters, and the length of each chair being 40 centimeters. The current system incorporates a double swivel point, allowing the chairs to be pulled out between 40 to 45 centimeters along a rotational axis of 90 degrees outwards and away from each metal support. The current system has two chairs that share the same support structure in the middle row, thus each seat must swivel towards the chair next to it. This leaves only 25 centimeters of combined room.
Task analysis. The main function accomplished by the user within the current system is sitting down, with the task being actually finding a seat and the subtask being actually pulling out a chair. The trigger used is approaching a chair and attempting to identify where to grab the chair to complete the intended action in order to maximize usability. The outcome is accomplished when the chair displaces once you sit properly and moves towards the position you want based on the distance away from the desk. The duration of the function of the task depends on where you will wish to sit and whether or not the seats surrounding it are occupied. However, it takes approximately 3.5 seconds if the seat is near the back of the row of the class to 25 seconds if it is at the front of the lecture hall.
The main cognitive demands are that it requires cognitive effort to pull the chair out, since there is no indication of the direction to pull the chair out. The chair retracts back after use, lessening physical effort needed to displace the chair. However, there is no obvious place to put the hand to pull out the chair, increasing cognitive effort.
Furthermore, the motor demands include the force required to pull out the chair. This force is within reason, 15 to 20 newtons or 3 to 5 pounds of force, and incorporates a large audience who would be able to complete the task based on the low amount of force to pull out the chair, especially since most of the university students use the current system. Also, accurate movements are required to move around other people and clutter, leading to increased physical effort.
The muscles used while pulling out the chair include the main muscles along the elbow joint, such as the biceps brachii muscles, triceps brachii muscles, as well as the forearm flexors and extensors. The range of motion of the arm and elbow joint is 90 to 180 degrees during this movement. In order to position oneself towards the seat may require slight trunk rotation, 0 to 90 degrees. The hamstring and iliopsoas muscles are the main muscles used in lowering body into the seat, while the calves, quads, abdominals, obliques, and lower back muscles are used to stabilize the body throughout the movement. Muscles used while in the sitting position include the rectus abdominis, obliques, neutral loading of the spine relieving pressure from the intervertebral discs. Muscles used in standing up include main muscles along the hip and above the knee joints, for example, quads, hamstrings, and calves, as well as the abdominals to stabilize. The range of motion of the lower back with respect to upper body is 180 to 90 and back to 180 degrees when going throughout the entire motion.
The visual system is used to scan the area prior to movements to find a seat and prepare for the movement. The proprioceptive system attempts to stabilize the body when maneuvering around chairs and objects and other people. Furthermore, visual system demand is placed on the user since the user does not know where to place hands to pull the chair. The chairs often make an auditory cue, providing feedback to the user based on the movement.
This video shows various situations where there is additional cognitive and physical effort required to work within the system and accomplish the task. Here we examine the various issues presented in our current system. First, we examine a user sitting beside a person. The user finds difficulty getting into the seat beside the individual. Next, we examine the user sitting in between two people. The user must squeeze behind the first person due to the insufficient space. The user then finds difficulty taking backpack off and again getting in seat. Next, we examine the user getting out of the chair while beside a person. The user must somewhat communicate with the person on his right to properly exit seat. The user then must put his backpack on with minimal space and again squeeze past the next user. Lastly, we examine two people getting out of the chairs at the same time. Clearly, both users cannot leave simultaneously as the chairs are designed to turn into each other. Users must communicate who exits seat first, and the second user may exit after.
Identification and justification of the human factors issues. The main problem in the current system is in the equipment design. The current positioning of the swivel chairs places unnecessary cognitive effort to the user due to trying to figure out how to move around people, their own belongings, as well as limited room caused by chairs' design.
Furthermore, there are several capabilities and limitations that are easily addressed using the principles of good user-centered design. The capabilities within the current system are that it satisfies bridging and evaluation since immediate feedback is given to user on the consequence of the action based on swinging open of the chair after figuring out how to use the system, of course. There are several limitations within the system, including that it doesn't utilize knowledge in the world and in the head, since chairs don't swing out based on the user's conceptual model. The chairs in the middle of each row swing out in different directions, causing unnecessary physical and cognitive effort. Also, the current system doesn't simplify a task for the user. There is unnecessary cognitive and physical effort required to pull out a chair, since there is no indication on the way the chair swings out. Lastly, the current design did not get the mappings right. The current design does not match the conceptual model as stated before. All of these limitations suggest a much-needed method/intervention to address the current problems within the system.
Method of addressing the human factor issue. After identifying the current problems within the system, we knew we would need to seek out evidence-based research to showcase a way to solve our human factors issue. After analyzing a 20-year study that looked at ergonomic and convenience preferences within college lecture halls for students, we were able to conclude that students aren't able to establish a comfortability within a lecture setting due to the fact that architects design classrooms based on architectural standardized building handbooks. These standardized handbooks are not often updated based on the needs of the human factor, user or student in this case, leading to complaints from students. This investigation insinuated the problem was clearly in the design of the chairs. Furthermore, another major conclusion in the study is that students prefer separate swivel seats accompanied with separate joint arms and fixed desks, as opposed to fixed chairs and swivel desks. These findings were established based on ratings in terms of physical comfort, ease of access, and a sense of personal space. We were able to conclude that the height, depth, and width of the current chair design were within the standardized recommended zones to allow for optimal ergonomic comfort, as seen on slide.
The prototype we designed, based on the evidence found in the research, is seen on the top photo and the old system on the bottom. In the new design, each chair is on its own support or joint arms, with the chair opening up and facing the back of the chair next to it. This allows for the chairs to swing out in the same direction, providing greater room and space to stand up as it is no longer shared between the paired seats. This is shown by 30 centimeters of your own personal space as opposed to 25 centimeters of shared space with the neighbor.
Predicted impact. The new system accomplishes the main principles of good user-centered design that were left out in the old design. The new model accomplishes utilizing knowledge in the world and in the head as chairs now match conceptual model of a door opening. This stereotypes the movement since most doors open counterclockwise, which is how all of the chairs will open in our new system. Moreover, the new system simplifies the task for the user by decreasing the physical and cognitive effort required by the user to interact with the system. This is accomplished since all chairs swing out the same direction to increase space to the user by transitioning from 25 centimeters of shared space in the old system to 30 centimeters of personal space in the prototype. The new system also gets the mapping right by exploiting the conceptual model and stereotyping pulling out the chair to opening a door.
Prototype should ensure decreased reaction time due to reduced cognitive effort and physical effort when being retested. Also, the new system should lead to increased performance, user satisfaction, and safety in case of an emergency. This is displayed by easier access to seats, thus increasing the space to stand/sit down to get out of the classroom in case of emergency.
If there was more time in the current human factors intervention, there would be several additional human factor issues addressed in order to further increase user satisfaction. To begin, we would change contrast sensitivity of the chairs from gray to black. Also, we would increase the space located behind the chairs, between chair and border created by step. We'd also attempt to optimize dark focus for users by changing the angle of the table to around 15 degrees going away from the user. Replacing the current lighting to an all-new lighting could also help to enhance dark focus. Lastly, we would add a handle on the chair to allow for visual place for the user to focus on to pull out the chair, leading to added error containment, less cognitive effort, and therefore increased user satisfaction.